Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We'll introduce you to some cattle operations that have made conservation a priority as we highlight the 2024 winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. We'll also examine why this program is so important to the future of the beef industry.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Thanks for joining us. For more than 3 decades, the Environmental Stewardship Award Program, also known as ESAP, has recognized the nation's best operations for their outstanding stewardship practices and conservation achievements. These regional and national winners are honored for their commitment to protecting the environment and improving fish and wildlife habitats while operating profitable cattle operations. Today, we're introducing you to a few of the regional winners for 2024 and taking a closer look at their operations. So how are the ESAP winners selected and what do they mean to the beef industry? Joining us now is Jerry Doan, chair of the selection committee. Jerry, thank you for coming today, and let's talk a little bit about the ESAP program. First question I have for you is, why is it important to have programs like the Environmental Stewardship Award Program to help tell the story of American farmers and ranchers?
You bet. Well, in my opinion, I think it's maybe one of the biggest things NCBA does, and we do as a cattle industry. We have got to tell this story. The media is hard on us. People are more removed from agriculture. They don't understand. You know, we're getting blamed for methane or climate issues or water quality or whatever it is. We have got to tell that story. And having these ranches that really showcase positive things, the benefits we do for the natural resources and all that. And we just need to utilize this. We use it a lot now, but we need to do way more with it.
Before. Now, you were chairman of the selection committee, and I'm curious, can you give us some insight in terms of how the process works and what the selection committee is looking for?
Well, it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work. And you know, you apply, you get nominated through an affiliate, or somebody can personally nominate you. We collect all those together, and then we sit around the room and I can't remember the exact number, but there's 15 or 20 of us around the room that represent the cattle industry, academia, NCBA, others. And then we just start having a discussion about these places. And I got to tell you, it's like splitting hairs because we're really getting some good places, which is a good testament to what we're doing.
Yeah. And speaking of which, the award not only serves to recognize those families, but it also serves to inspire others, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And, we're a multi-generational operation. I've got 3 boys that came back to the ranch, which were kind of unusual that way, but, really proud. But it inspired them as well. And then they've gotten to go out and speak and do things and inspire others because they're that young generation. And as you know, we stacked some enterprises on that ranch. And I always tell people, kids aren't going to come back unless you create some excitement, then get the heck out of the way.
That's great. And you've got a great family. I remember that night vividly in 2016 that you all won that award. What did that mean to your family?
Oh, we were kicking boots like crazy. My boys tore up Nashville that night. They were so doggone excited. And it was so cool because there was a lot of North Dakota people there, and it touched my heart when they were screaming and yelling and having fun. And then we took that seriously, and I challenge every group like I did yesterday that comes through the ESAP program, go out and tell the story. Because in agriculture, we really do a poor job. We're kind of a proud people. And we've got to do it because I had a family from New York at our place once for some of the agritourism stuff, and he said, Jerry, will you sit down for a minute? And he told me, where I'm from in New York, they think you ruin the water. They think you're ruining the atmosphere. They think you beat your animals, and they're not even sure you grow a good product. And he said, I've been here for 3 days, and I admire how your family embraces conservation and regenerative ag. And then he challenged me, and I'll never forget it as long as I'm on this earth. Go tell that story, or they will regulate you out of business.
That's a great challenge for all of us, whether we're an ESAP winner or not. Thank you so much for coming today and for all you do to lead the industry.
You bet. Well, that's a great thing.
Absolutely. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the Environmental Stewardship Award winners, see photos and videos, or even learn how to nominate someone, as Jerry mentioned, for the award, you can visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. NCBA represents cattle farmers and ranchers in 7 different regions around the country. And accordingly, there is one winner of the Environmental Stewardship Award from each of those 7 regions. So now, let's visit the state of New York to check out one of the honorees.
What we do today as farmers is really thinking about what we want to leave for the next people that are going to farm this land. And we've been slowly and steadily building something that can be in our family for many years to come. Hi, I'm Brett Chedzoy of Angus Glen Farms here in Watkins Glen, New York. Our farm is in the heart of what's known as the Finger Lakes region of New York. Our farm borders the Watkins Glen State Park, which is the second most popular park in New York State. And Watkins Glen is also known for Watkins Glen International, which is a large speedway that hosts races like NASCAR. Thousands of people visit our little community and drive through the middle of our farm every year, so there's no hiding what we do here. But it's a neat opportunity for us to share what we do with the public. New York is about 2/3 covered with forest land, so we have to learn how to farm within the forest landscape here. We looked at our farm woodlands. They had a lot of issues with noxious invasive brush, and we saw the livestock as a workforce to go in there and deal with these problematic plant communities that were overrunning our farm woodlands. About half of our pastures are treeless pastures, and the other half of our pastures are what we call silvopastures. Silvopasturing is the symbiotic combination of grazing animals, forages, and trees. How silvopasturing differs is that we're continuously moving animals. They're in an area for a short period of time. It may be weeks or even months before they return to that area, again for a short period of time. So each time they go in there and graze, the forages and the soils have a fairly lengthy period to recover from that experience. One of the benefits that we've seen from silvopasturing is that now we're still growing all of the best trees in our silvopasture areas, but we've removed a lot of the lower quality and unhealthy trees and reallocated that sunlight to the ground surface where we can grow productive forages. In addition to that, we've been able to rehabilitate and reclaim a lot of our farm woodlands that were overrun with these noxious plants and are now in a much healthier condition. Protecting this landscape through sound farming practices is very important to our family. I firmly believe that our land is healthier and more productive today and more resilient and more sustainable because of grazing it with our beef cattle herd. We want to grow food that people feel good about, not just the dollars and cents of it or the taste of it, but food that really has a story behind it. And we've never met someone yet who didn't feel good about the story behind our beef.
Now we're just getting started on this special edition of Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Coming up, we'll introduce you to 2 more operations that have made stewardship a priority as we continue our look at the 2024 ESAP regional winners. Stay with us.
There's never a dull moment for the Nelsons. 5th generation Montana ranchers. Since 1868, they've been herding cattle, reeling in trout, and exploring Paradise Valley from their backyard. Here's to another 150 years of adventure. There's a story in every piece of land. Run with us on a John Deere Gator XUV and start telling yours.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest and largest national cattle industry organization working to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus big discounts only for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
Today, we're highlighting some of the 2024 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Let's meet the honorees from Florida.
We feel like cattle make our jobs easier. Without cattle, in our opinion, it would be very tough to maintain this property and these pastures and this land the way we'd like to see it maintained. Hi, I'm Henry Kempfer from Kempfer Cattle Company in Deer Park, Florida. We're located about 50 miles southeast of Orlando. We're not far from the coast. As a crow flies, the east end of the ranch is less than 20 miles from the ocean. And I'm his brother George, and our family's been ranching in this part of Central Florida since 1902. So my dad, Billy, and Uncle Reed are the fourth generation. I'm part of the fifth, and we've got the sixth and seventh generations part of the operation now.
I've never been a big fan of the term sustainability, but if we're not sustainable, I don't know what would be. And I tell folks, I say, this place is safe because of the love of this family. Florida gets average mid-50s inches of rain a year, and when we have these big storm events, we get 15, 18, 20 inches of rain, all that water's coming through here.
We actually have the ability to hold some of this water. We have the large swamp that runs through the middle of the property. It's about 6,000 acres of the ranch. And we also have a 600-acre reservoir that we can retain a lot of that water as well, which comes in very handy in the dry season. We can prolong our growing season at times with water used from that. We filter a lot of water through the ranch, from other ranches and state lands as well. When it leaves the ranch here, it goes to the St. Johns River. And the city of Melbourne actually pulls its water downstream from us out of the river to utilize for their drinking water. So we take a lot of pride in how clean our water is when it leaves the ranch.
You can't just turn a cow in a pasture and leave them. It's got to rest, so you've got to rotate. And by the rotational grazing, you've always got fresh grass for cows to eat.
It's very important to us to watch the height of the grass, the stubble height, to keep it from getting too short. The shorter you get it, or you start grubbing it down closer to the ground, it actually just restricts your growth of your roots. So when you're growing more grass on top, you're growing more roots on the bottom. And as the roots go deeper, they're collecting more nutrients as well, so you're getting healthier plants. By having a better root system and a deeper roots and a healthier plant, it's pretty amazing how much more grass you can grow. Kind of like mowing your yard and watching it grow after you mow. And you just look at that fresh, lush grass coming in, that you can put those cattle back on. You look at the wildlife, it just makes you feel good that you're creating an environment for not just the wildlife, but better pastures for the cattle at the same time.
Stewardship is taking care of the land. I mean, this place, if we don't take care of it, it's not going to take care of us.
I feel a big responsibility, as do all my cousins and brothers, to manage this land properly and take care of it properly. It's incredibly important for us to do a good job, be good stewards, and leave this place better than it was the day we got here. Cattle actually do a great job in helping you manage the land. We see healthy pastures, healthy land, and we feel like the cattle are the biggest reason for that.
When we return, we'll introduce you to another outstanding family as we continue our look at some of the 2024 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
Are you concerned about the impact government policies could have on your cattle business? One way to make your voice heard in Washington is by joining NCBA. When you join, you'll be part of the nation's oldest and largest national cattle industry organization that has a professional team working in Washington, D.C. on issues that matter to cattle-producing families nationwide. Don't stay on the sidelines. Make your voice heard by joining NCBA today at the website ncba.org.
Now, we've already seen two great operations as we highlight some of the 2024 winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Now, let's head to Region 3 and meet the winner from Minnesota.
I believe raising beef is a privilege because not only do we get to feed people, but we get to make our environment a better place. I'm Rachel Gray with Little Timber Farms. We're located in Black Duck, Minnesota, and I, along with my dad, Merle Nord, and my son, Nick Grunmeyer, run a bred heifer development operation here. We find that this heifer development operation really fits our economy and our environment. We're able to grow great grass here, which is our primary crop. We learned a long time ago that grass grew well, better than other crops, and so we really use cattle to harvest that grass.
What we follow is an intensive managed grazing program where oftentimes we'll rotate in 3 days, 4 days.
There's proven results in it. You know, we have very good gains on our cattle. We have very good pasture quality, and you can actually see the quality of the soil health increasing.
We happen to be in the Red Lake watershed, and those waters from Red Lake also flow into the Hudson Bay. So we're in a unique position here where our water is flowing north to Canada and eventually to the Hudson Bay. So it's very important that we protect those waterways. When we put in the pastures and the rotational grazing pastures, we added buffers, we added riparian strips, we added filter strips at that time, and fenced the cattle out of any water, surface water that we could. We're always looking for an innovative solution. We were not able to get our winter rye off. We were flooded. So to bring that back into pasture, we're going to drone our pasture seed on top of that.
Especially with the drone seeding, we seeded roughly 35 acres of pasture today that we couldn't have seeded conventionally.
That drone was really neat. And the potential application to use it to reseed, rejuvenate pastures when the soil moisture level is too high, it's pretty neat.
And those cover crops increases the health of the soil, it increases the productivity, it increases weight gain on the cattle because your fields are producing better.
I think finding balance is very important, and one of those balances needs to be what you do for the land and how you become economically sustainable.
I hope to take over the farm someday, and I hope that I have the guidance and the wisdom that my mom and my grandfather passed on to me, and I use it to my best ability.
The stewardship of the land is important because we want to pass it down. We want to make it better for the next generation.
This land is so important to us. What we're doing is important. And we are making sure that we can take the best care possible of this land and of the cattle that we grow. and we want that to continue for generations.
When we come back, we'll wrap up this special edition of Cattlemen to Cattlemen and show you one more award-winning operation. Stay with us.
There's nothing greater than seeing your cattle grazing on lush green pasture.
Oh yeah, and nothing ruins that view like weeds and brush soaking up all the moisture and nutrients. Regardless of precipitation, we have to take care of our pastures. It doesn't rain grass.
The passion for cattle ranching starts early. So should the protection. Let's keep our pastures in good hands with Corteva Agriscience. To learn more, visit rangeandpasture.com.
Do you have an upcoming production sale to advertise? Then contact the Cattlemen to Cattlemen marketing team or your breed association to learn more.
You've already seen some great stories about families who make their living on the land and their outstanding conservation efforts as we honor the 2024 regional winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Now, let's check out one more great operation, this time from Texas.
Decisions that we make out here, we're trying to make in harmony with the land, and we believe that we are stewards of the land and all the natural resources that are in our care.
Hello, I'm Rex McCloy on the Blue Ranch. We are in the Texas Panhandle near Dumas, Texas in Moore County. My wife and I, Susan, own this ranch. We bought it in 2013. In May of 2015, we were able to persuade Mike Turner to come aboard to be the manager of the ranch.
The family's mantra is do no harm, and I use that mantra myself because my goal is just to improve the ranch and leave it better than what we found it for the next generation. We average about 16 to 18 inches of rain a year, so water management is critical. Our basic recipe is graze, rest, repeat. And we feel like that our ground has responded well to that. We try to graze each paddock at least once in the calendar year, then rest these paddocks. Because the way we try to manage is it's not about what I take, it's what I leave behind. Our goal is we want covered ground. We don't want to have any bare ground. You know, bare ground is the enemy. If I left a lot of bare ground behind and there's not enough biomass to capture what's going to be coming down, what's going to happen is it's going to run off, and it's going to run off into the tributaries, into the watersheds. My goal is to capture every bit of the moisture that we've got here when we do have those significant rainfall events.
To make the grazing system workable, we had to have a lot better water system than the old scattered windmills. A cow can drink 30 gallons a day in the summer. You hope that she doesn't have to travel too far from it. That's using calories, that's using energy, and it's just vital to, like any of us, I mean, we've all got water bottles with us right now. We try to keep those bottles pretty close to those cows.
The McCloys early on knew that water distribution was going to be something that was very important, and so that's why we put in our storage facilities. We have one on the north end of the ranch, we have one on the south end of the ranch. We made the investment of putting pipelines in, and it ties into those water stations on the north end and on the south end, so that's the way we're able to water large volumes of cattle in a short duration. The biggest thing for the animal's metabolism is you really need to have good forage, ranch and good water. That's something that's really important to me, is that they're drinking clean water every opportunity they get.
My hope for the future of Blue Ranch would be that we're able to find ways to continually improve the rangeland, to successfully run a livestock operation and pass it on in better shape than we found it.
My job is to take care of the land and the livestock that has been entrusted to me, and we have a finite period of time to do that. My goal is to leave it better than what I found it for the next generation. To me, that's what I consider a good steward.
Well, that's our time for this special edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.